To brew beer, you'll need a cooler, a kettle or large pot, a carboy, this one is 3 gallons, an immersion chiller, a siphon, a paddle, an airlock, bung and thermal well, an electronic thermometer, a hydrometer, star sand sanitizer, a large muslin bag, salts, Kempton, and a pH reader. Ingredients used to make beer: grain, hops, yeast, and water. Fill up your pot with 5 gallons of water. Add your salts and Kempton and mix it well. Crank your stove to max power. Empty the kettle into the cooler once you hit 160 Fahrenheit. Make sure it's 160 Fahrenheit with a thermometer. Securely place the muslin brew bag in the cooler. Pour in all of your grains. Make sure not to breathe in everything flying up at you. Mash it well. Pretend it's tea and dunk the bag a few times. This helps lower the temperature quicker. Mix it all up again. Check the temperature. Try to get it close to 153 Fahrenheit. 155 or so is fine. It'll lose heat over the hour. Make sure to place the cooler lid on after this. Set your timer to 1 hour. After 15 minutes, take a sample. Check the pH of the wort. I use 6 milliliters of lactic acid. Either use an app like Beersmith or add it slowly and do checks. After mixing the wort with lactic acid, take another sample and check the pH. You want it to be close to 5.2 or 5.3. Once the hour is up, drain the mash tun into the pot. If you have remaining water you never added, heat it up to 170 Fahrenheit. Pour this over your grains and do the tea bag technique. This will help get any remaining sugars. Only do this if you have a small amount of water left. After a few minutes, lift the bag out and squeeze as much wort out as you can. Dump all your wort into the kettle pot. You can see we've already lost some water. Place the kettle on the stove with a lid and crank it to max. Prepare your hop schedule. I have 4 iterations. Stovetop brewing can take a while for the boil. Be patient. Stirring the wort every 10 minutes or so can help speed up this process. As it's heating up, we've lost more water. Make sure the pot isn't fully covered with the lid when close to boil. Set the timer to 1 hour. With 35 minutes remaining, I add my first hop iteration. Stir it well and place the lid with a slight opening. If you do not do this, you risk having a boil over. You want your wort to get as hot as possible without having a boil over. Follow your recipe and add hops at the appropriate times. You can see at 26 minutes, I added my second addition. Prepare your carboy by sanitizing it. Follow directions on the Star Sand bottle. Do not fear the foam. It is a yeast nutrient and helps. This pot was close to boiling over. Here, I am adding the last iteration of hops. After 1 hour of boiling, it's time to remove the wort from the stove. My sink isn't big enough for my kettle, so I transfer it to a smaller pot. Put as much ice as you can into the sink with a bit of water. Dump the Star Sand out of the carboy. You'll need it soon. Fill up your airlock with sanitizer as well. Place the pot into the ice bath and begin using the immersion chiller. This helps cool the wort much quicker. The faster you cool your wort, the better. Once it begins to cool down, you must be very careful. Anything that comes into contact with your wort at this point without sanitization can lead to an infection. I had my thermometer in Star Sand while chilling. Checking the temperature, I have a bit to go. This took around 10 minutes to cool down. You want your wort to be around 65 Fahrenheit. Make sure the siphon is sanitized and begin transferring your wort into the sanitized carboy. Fill your hydrometer nearly to the top. Do not overfill the carboy, otherwise you risk a blowout. Kreuzen can leak up through the airlock, or worse, the bung can pop out, exposing your beer. Now, place your bung and airlock into the carboy. Place your ink bird probe into the thermal well in the middle of the carboy. I've set my temperature to 53 Fahrenheit. It's currently at 64.3. I brewed a lager, so I need to wait for it to cool down more. While waiting, do a gravity reading. I've got an OG of 1.057. Now that it's close to 53 Fahrenheit, I'm ready to pitch the yeast. Sanitize the yeast packet and pitch it in your wort. It is now officially beer. After a day or two, you'll see activity in the airlock. Enjoy and welcome to brewing.